Hello, everyone. My name is Khloe Karova, publisher of LGNSQ, the Logan Square Book. And today I'm going to be reading the business chapter intro, which is written by me. And the photography is done by Saverio Trulia, David Schalliol, Robin Marchant, and Jorg Metzner. The year 2020 was defined by the global pandemic of COVID-19. Government mandated shutdowns and social distancing gave rise to a stay-at-home culture that forced nearly every retailer and restaurant to radically change their business model or operations. Before COVID-19, the biggest threats to neighborhood stores were rising rents, online shopping, and displacement from big box chains. The debate among residents revolved around questions such as, what is the right mix of businesses? And does this neighborhood really need another craft brewery or coffee shop? The Milwaukee Avenue commercial corridor is anchored by the Gap outlet at the Kimball intersection and the Salvation Army near Western Avenue. Along this axis is a panorama of independent shops and a range of eating options from street vendors and family-friendly diners to Michelin star aspiring restaurants. For the past decade, Logan Square has been gentrifying. Changing demographics toward more affluent consumers attract national chains that are welcomed by some residents, but signal the end of a counter-cultural era for others. Many longtime residents, such as Tara Merlot, are excited about the arrival of Target on Milwaukee and Sacramento Avenues. I'm going to quote her, "Change is going to happen, and I know all of these small businesses in Logan Square are going to benefit." Other residents argue that big box retailers add to this perceived problem of inadequate parking, or that new developments are too tall or too unaffordable. What is missing from the debate on gentrification is the potential unraveling of independent business networks. The national chains can be a boon to small businesses by drawing more shoppers to the area. So this is a traditional argument in favor of big box retailers like Target. So you have that anchor. So many people who don't live in the neighborhood, might soon shop at the neighborhood businesses because they're going to Target. However, an independent business district might be able to attract new customers just as well without them. Yeah, if you have a store as unique as the Freeze, you know what? You're going to be drawing people from all over the Northwest side, right? It's not just people from Logan Square who go to this very, very popular and affordable ice cream shop. Just want to show you a couple more photos. The Fireside Bowl. Oh my gosh, I love this one. Who has special memories of the Fireside Bowl? Remember they did concerts there? I spent so much time trying to look cool in my 20s at the Fireside Bowl. Here is another landmark, Liberty Bank. Yeah, we have these banks that, this is on Milwaukee Avenue in Fullerton. And yeah, for many people, they think about, they want to support a community bank. They want to support a bank that, is just a lot more open and friendly to community residents. That feels less, I don't know, where they feel like they can get more personal service. A lot of them go to Liberty. Oh, and some signs. I feel like signs are, something that I've been paying more attention to, because you're wondering, when is this restaurant going to be reopened, right? When is this store going to reopen? Who's hiring? That's always a good sign. You see more signs going up in windows looking for servers, hostesses, cooks, etc. Do you guys remember Uncharted Books? Uncharted Books, I never went in there because I am allergic to cats in that place. There's some resident cats there, and it was just too, how should I put it? It was just very uncomfortable for me. But Tanner, we actually photographed him the day he was moving out, and now he's in Andersonville. So that was very sad. And City Lit Books is closed. So now we don't have any independent bookstores in Logan Square. So it makes me very sad. This is a sign on a redevelopment project on Milwaukee Avenue, just north of Fullerton, right next to Furious Spoon. So they're going to be taking the Hollander building and yeah, so doing something more interesting with the cell phone towers that are on top of it, making them less obvious, and then also sort of climbing wall. They had all kinds of plans. So anyway, that's what's going on Milwaukee Avenue. Let me keep reading. So independent business networks, the unraveling of these independent business networks is something I'm very concerned about because we talk about displacement, we know about housing displacement, but there's also this commercial displacement. Rents rise so fast that only a national chain can afford to pay the rent. Independent business owners like Tanner, Unabridged Books, he just could not. I mean, there's a whole host of issues that affected his decision, but one of the main contributors is, I mean, the economics of these stores, these retailers, margins are so thin. They want to pay their workers a living wage and provide health benefits like boulevard bikes. Yeah, it's really important to have affordable rents. And if you cannot get it, then you might have to move. So what do I mean by network effects of independent businesses? So one sign of a neighborhood's vitality is a business community that can generate these network effects. Newcomers might go to Cafe Mustache or New Wave Coffee. Both of them are also on that stretch of Milwaukee Avenue to discover local happenings or to buy a gift where staff might recommend other unique local shops. The addition of each independent store or restaurant generates more referral opportunities and contributes to Logan Square's brand as a diverse shopping destination. So we don't need a Target, right, to attract shoppers from other neighborhoods. We just need this sort of critical mass of independent businesses, and then boom, people from throughout the Chicagoland area know about Logan Square, as a destination for people who are looking something beyond the national chain. Now, national chains, there are a lot of people like Tara Merlot who are anticipating, they're really looking forward to the arrival of Target. However, the national chains themselves have very, very little incentive for participating in these referral activities. What do I mean by that? Well, if you ask your cashier at Target, it's like may not necessarily know what a good restaurant would be, what a good family friendly restaurant might be, or a restaurant, for a date night. If you go to talk to somebody who works at New Wave Coffee, they probably are going to have a lot of opinions about, what would be, what are some other places that you should, visit in Logan Square. Over the long term, reading from my business intro, over the long term, national chains are more likely to lure other large scale corporate ventures and displace local shops. Okay, not only are they equipped to, direct people to neighborhood shops, all right, I mean, if they do so, it isn't intentional. Okay, in the long term, they are more likely to attract, so targets want to attract other large scale corporate ventures. All right. So why do they want to do that? Because at the end of the day, for a lot of these big brands, these big box retailers, they want to manage risk. So when they're looking to expand, okay, let's say that the Gap, we already have a Gap, that example, but let's say maybe it is like a Trader Joe's. A number of residents want a Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is going to be looking to expand. Should they put a store in Logan Square? Well, the risk for these national retailers is, when they sign a lease, that's a 10-year lease. They need to make sure that the demographics are such that there's a high probability that the people who live in the neighborhood would shop at that store, but also they may look for signs like, oh, who else is there? What other national chains are there, right? It's like, oh, Target is there. If Target is there, if Starbucks are there, we know that they would not be making that real estate commitment unless, there's the favorable demographic, a demographic that's favorable to these large retailers exists. So that's one of the risks. This is not our destiny, though. There's a lot of say that we can have. And actually, you know what, I got to give credit to some of these developers who are um, showing up at these community meetings. One example is the developer of the Hollander building who showed up at a couple of community meetings. I attended two of them. Um, and let me read to you the paragraph that references this. An example of the complicated and often contentious nature of new development in Logan Square is the Hollander building at 2418 North Milwaukee Avenue. The developers cleverly mollify property class concerns about architectural preservation by renovating rather than demolishing historic buildings. So they're not tearing down the structure, which is good. It's great. Logan Square Preservation is happy with that. Yet, they appear tone deaf to some community-minded locals by signing a New York-based climbing wall chain as its anchor. You know, I was at this community meeting with Hollander building developers at the First Ward office, Daniel Espada, and I asked him this question. It's like, well, did you talk to the Logan Square Chamber of Commerce? Did you ask them what businesses would be most likely to succeed in your space? What are community residents asking for? And they did not. No, they didn't. They did not. I don't get it. Why don't you just talk to the people who live here and ask them what kind of businesses they would like to see in your building? Um, so the renovations, the project received support from Logan Square Preservation, which many people perceive, and maybe they are, but they are the de facto gatekeeper for new developments. There's no other organization in Logan Square that has that level of power. But the developers also, and these are also Logan Square Preservation, so they're not just about, you know, when they say preservation, it is not just about the buildings, it's also about the landscaping, it's about the trees. And one of the things that one of the residents who also happens to be a member of Logan Square Preservation mentioned is, you know, we need to have more trees, we need to have some greenery, there needs to be something within this development plan. Because Logan Square residents, we love our trees. And at the end of the day, I write, it appeared to be all about signing leases for the developer. I mean, those are fighting words, aren't they? But no, I asked them directly at the alderman's office, is it about signing leases? And they're like, yes, at the end of the day, that's what they got to fill up that building and they want to do it quickly. They've got relationships with these national tenants, okay, these national retailers like the New York Climbing Vault. It's like, you know, if they can get them done quickly, that's what they're going to do, and because they have to get on to the next project. I'm a business person too, and I understand. It's like you have got to move at a very, very quick pace. I applaud them for showing up at these community meetings because that does take time. It takes time, and but at the end of the day, it's like, well, does it really matter, right? Are we residents wasting our time by attending these are they just checking a box? I think this is something that we need to talk to our aldermen about, right? How much community input, how much does it matter with this new construction? You know, whether it is from developer or maybe it's an affordable housing. I think that there is a feeling out there by some residents that this stuff is going to happen. You know, there's a handful of people, you know, within the city of Chicago or in the alderman's office or within this development community that's basically setting the agenda. And yeah, so there's quite a bit of cynicism out there at the rapid pace of development. So let's talk about what needs to happen. How can a small business erect a firewall to displacement by national chains? Building community may be the solution. So what do I mean by that? Small business has the advantage over big business when it comes to placemaking, which I am defining as creating space for residents to engage in activities meaningful to their values, to their culture and identity that do not have explicit commercial intent. You know, coming from the world of business and, you know, got my MBA from University of Chicago, we did not talk about any of this stuff. Did not talk about placemaking. This is not something that we consider traditionally, you know, when we lay out our plans for our business strategy, right? How are we going to generate revenue? what does community relations entail? We know that environmental social governance, these socially responsible themes are becoming more of the norm in business, but how much of that takes into account the community, right? I mean, we know that we need to treat our workers, we need to treat our vendors, we need to treat, stakeholders, the stakeholders in our business, but how much does that extend into the community? Right? People who are not our customers, and maybe they will never be our customers. Should we take them into account? Should we try to provide some sort of public benefit? And I actually argue that there is a business case for that, because you know what? It's like community is what makes us successful. It's municipalities, it's cities, right? States that give us license to operate. They give businesses license to operate. But it's the community that actually determines whether or not we will be successful. And we need to give them credit for that. Now, I do think small business has this advantage in placemaking over large business. And I write in my book, responding to community needs is what small business does well. Owners and managers who live and spend time in the neighborhood are more likely to be in touch with the community's values and tap into changing tastes. Related to adaptation is risk-taking. Being close to the consumer allows owners to test new concepts. So imagine like businesses, they want to make money, but also they want to manage risk. So national chains, how are they doing that? They're looking at demographics, right? They're sticking to a formula that they know has worked in the past, but we know that these large corporations can be very, very slow to change. But if you're a small business, right, you're close to your customers, you can change on a dime. And actually, we've seen that in the past year with COVID during the pandemic. But many of these businesses have actually been doing it long before the pandemic. Let me let me keep reading from this article. Among corporate executives, so what are there any big corporations that are trying to do placemaking? Actually, when I polled people, and I do all my polling on Facebook, feel free to friend me on Facebook. Among corporate executives, the most cited example of placemaking is Starbucks, where placemaking is defined as serving as a destination for people who have nowhere to go. Actually, that was Howard Schultz from Starbucks. I heard that on one of their investor days a few years ago. He said that the Starbucks in Lake Forest is actually one of their, it's one of the busiest Starbucks in the country. I don't know if this is in terms of sale or in just terms of like how many people are coming in and out of the store. But they're like, yeah, it's like Starbucks, Lake Forest, Illinois. That is a destination. That is a place for people who've got nowhere to go. And that's why that store is so successful. Now, Logan Square only has one Starbucks. And one explanation for the presence of only one Starbucks store in Logan Square could be that residents prefer coffee shops that promote a social mission or incorporate resident feedback. I forgot to scroll through some of these photos. Oh my gosh, these David Schalliol. Look at some of these photos from David Schalliol, small businesses. The laundromat. Oh my gosh, the laundromat. There's so much activity. So much activity there. Also, just like this is a laundromat that's been in that location for quite a long time, and I don't know. I just somehow it's like I just love the aesthetics, just these rows and rows of uniformity and all of stainless steel. I don't know. I just like that. I like that kind of stuff. This one is on Armitage. Duh, Armitage food. David Schalliol again. But there's something about this photo. I look at some of David's photos and I'm like, man, it just feels very classical. This composition, it's just so symmetrical. And it's just amazing how he will stand there and wait for the lighting conditions to be perfect. So these photos, no, they're not accidental. Let me go back. Not accidental. I mean, it takes tremendous amount of planning, patience, and luck. Look at this is Fullerton Avenue. We've got, that's not Micah, that's Noka, the Noka building. Oh, somebody's at my door. Hang on a second. I got to hit the pause button, guys. Hang on. Pause. Okay, we're back. So let's look at this Gas Station by David Schalliol. Again, it's like, it feels very classical in some ways, just how everything, like the composition, he takes tremendous amount of care, just making sure that everything lines up. We've got no traffic here, there's people, right? This is kind of placemaking too, isn't it? The bus stop. Yeah, I take public transportation all the time. And like for me, it's like that's kind of how part of how I get to know my city, my neighborhood. It's just like talking to people on the trains, talking to people on the bus. This is a photo by Robin Marchand. She's a celebrity photographer. This is the Cozy Corner Diner. And these were two brothers, I believe, and they were originally from Ireland. Um, Cozy Corner. We have a tremendous number of foreign tourists come to Logan Square. They look at the murals and then they have an affordable meal. It's Cozy Corner Diner. I love that we have so many restaurants in Milwaukee Avenue. Again, Michelin star aspiring and very affordable, friendly places like Cozy Corner. Um, Place making. This is play. Oh my gosh, obviously pre-COVID. But yeah, I mean, and Ann Kinsley, she organizes all of these meetups for families, and these are totally free. So that's Play, Toys, and Books on Milwaukee Avenue. Milwaukee Avenue, very close to the location of a farmer's market. But if you have a kid, please come to one of these things or tell you the nanny or au pair about these things because they are a lot of fun. Businesses, all kinds of businesses in Logan Square. We talk about diversity. When we say diversity in Logan Square, we mean that also in terms of economic diversity, in terms of commercial activity. There's an auto store. I love these old buildings. Unfortunately, oh, it's empty now. I hope another auto store. And the corner shop. Corner shop. I feel like this is very special, special to me. Because where are you gonna get your cigarettes now that they don't sell them at CVS? Man, I'm kidding. I don't smoke anymore, guys. But if I did, I would be frequenting these stores. You can buy all kinds of stuff there. But you know what? I've got a kid, and I think it's great that I give my kid a couple of dollars, and she could just run over to the corner store and get some candy. I feel like that's very much part of this urban environment that, I mean, there's just so many ways for us to participate in the neighborhood and just go out. We have so many ways for us to just go out and meet our neighbors in the stores, on the boulevard. There's so many places. Waiting Sunday morning to get into Lula Cafe. I don't know if I included that photo in the book. I'm going to finish up this chapter intro. Let's talk a little bit more about placemaking, and then move on to the Latinx community. What's going on with them? Logan Square provides numerous examples of how businesses can nurture customer loyalty through placemaking, which could potentially sustain them over the long term, potentially. Despite these hyperlocal efforts, like many gentrifying communities, some businesses fail due to exogenous factors such as recession, rising rents, or in the case of Latinx stores, customers moving away. So we did lose a number of stores because of that. By 2017, Logan Square's white population surpassed that of its Latinx population. 2017. The role of Latinx business owners was crucial to the foundation. It was a crucial foundation for the neighborhood's subsequent developments. And do not forget this. These Latinx businesses, they had sustained the community, right? They had been in the community 70s, 80s, and yeah, I mean, some parts of the neighborhood were just infested by gangs, but these stores, they just kept going. They just kept going. And also because these buildings, right? These, buildings were made, they were in use, right? There was a corner store there was a dry cleaning there, etc. So they were also maintaining these structures. So it was the Latinx residents who laid the foundation and made this neighborhood viable for commercial activity in the 1990s. The mom and pop shops of Latin American immigrants spurred economic development. They provided jobs and mentorships to new arrivals and offered a nexus to their culture back home. Torres Omar Jewelers, it's probably this is the most popular business profiled in the book, is an example of a business that adapts by staying relevant to consumers. Founded in 1980, they catered first to Catholic, Polish, and Mexican populations by offering religious medallions for baptisms, first communions, confirmations, and other moments of worship. As the neighborhood changed, they expanded their inventory to millennials, trendsetters alike by showcasing designs that are centered on pop culture and focus their marketing efforts on social media. Oh, Delsalandia, I just gotta show you this. Delsalandia. Let's get some more of these businesses. Yeah, that's a fun place for kids. You need a piñata. You need a piñata, Donald Trump piñata. This is probably if you want one, so you should get one fast. Probably gonna run out of soon. Some businesses during COVID is taken by Jord Messer. These are taken by David Schalliol. I look at this as sort of like, like Logan Square's been doing recycling for a long time. Scrap metal truck. Special affection for the scrap metal truck. Is, let me tell you, it's like if I gotta throw something out that has metal, and I love that, I just put it in my back alley. You just wait 3 hours. Like something, scrap metal truck's gonna pick it up. It's so efficient. I love it. But again, David, just classical, these compositions. Yeah, you just look at that. There is a relationship. I look at these two images together and it's like they were having a conversation with each other. These businesses on wheels. And there's just something about it where it's just like, of course, this perfectly makes sense. People are throwing out stuff and somebody finds value, they're going to haul it away from you. Torres Omar Jewelers. Now, Inez Bellina, who's the writer, main writer of the book, she had interviewed Torres Omar. And what can I say? Look at this, guys. Yeah, the takeaway is we need to step up our chain game. Step it up. Rose's Lands. Please, please, please read this profile. Oh my gosh. Rose's Lounge. And you know what? I did not know how to listen to Chicago blues until I came to Rose's Lounge in Armitage. Seriously, I thought I knew I understood that music. It's like, no, you got to go to, that's where you're going to find real Chicago blues. I got to finish up reading this chapter and let you guys go. So Torres Omar talked about some of the other businesses. But let's talk about the arrival of mega developments along Milwaukee Avenue. Sorry for the rapid scrolling. Milwaukee Avenue. Hang on a second. This image, well, not that image. I know where I'm going, guys. This image is iconic. That took a long time for David. Let me go back. Back. Street art. Boy, this is a massive section. Massive section. Actually, let me do this. This, I feel like the Milwaukee Avenue, this is Milwaukee Avenue for me. You got your Dollar Tree, and then we have our fruit vendor. Got a coffee shop down here. But we also have, like these big, these towers, of new construction. And some people look at that like, you know what, I've been waiting a long time for this development, and I'm so glad that it's here. But for others, let me show you another photo by David Schalliol. Let me talk about that for a second. Oh, did I pass it? I passed it. Doot, doot, doot. Oh, here it is. Coco, don't forget to put a mask on. Okay. I call this image throwing shade. So this is the Target building, or this one back here rather is the Target building. So we have Logan Crossing, so this new construction here, and look how tall it is. We do have sunshine, we do have this sort of setting sun, but look at this, like we have this mammoth structure just throwing shade on the existing structures here. So I call this image throwing shade because this is one of the things that kind of bothers residents. It visually, right, it feels imbalanced, you know, but also economically it feels imbalanced in a way too, because, you know, we have Target. It's just, I feel like, wow, that just represents so much, like there's so much like, you know, like aspirational goods. I'll lock it, don't worry about it, okay? There's so much aspiration, right? You know, in the products, like you can get everything. You can get like, you know, like cheap clothing for your kids or affordable clothing for your kids, but also you can get some pretty high-end stuff. You can get some pretty good furniture. So Target, yet at the same time, people are like, well, they're going to be driving up all these rents for, you know, these independent restaurants, these cute restaurants, the cute little liquor store, and, you know, all these different, like, you know, just independent businesses, right? And these are businesses that have been there for a long time. And a lot of people, why is small business, why does independent business matter so much to us? You know, in Logan Square, when I buy something from Play, it's going to be gift wrapped. There's going to be a bag on it with a with curled up ribbons. And when somebody receives a present from Play, you know, they get excited because they know that the person, you know, the salesperson at Play, they picked something special, right? They picked something special, and they wrapped that present, you know, in a very, you know, professional manner, in something that's very aesthetically pleasing. There's a lot of care that was put just in like the wrapping, right? You know, the packaging. And you get that. And that's a reflection of us. That's a reflection of our values too. And so we see that also. Revolution Brewery, Cafe Mustache, Twisted Scissors, you know, these stores are so special to us because they are a reflection of us. A community expresses its values, right, through its commercial makeup. The stores represent our community. They say so much about us. Why we need to support these small businesses. Um, final final sentences of my intro. The arrival of mega developments along Milwaukee Avenue is interpreted by Logan Square residents as a harbinger of monoculture, a catalyst for rising rents, as well as a long-awaited fruit of economic development. It may feel like the end of an era, but the erasure of layers of neighborhood history is not inevitable. The businesses and organizations profiled in this chapter demonstrate that sustainable development requires a constellation of entities that cater to diverse incomes and create opportunities for residents to find community and rapidly adapt. So thank you all for listening. I'm sorry this is such a messy video. It's like I'm a mom, I've got a busy life and a lot of interruptions. I appreciate y'all for hanging with me for so long. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video. And oh, you could buy my book at lgnsq.com. Photographer of this image is David Schalliol. You can see tons of his stuff in my book at LGNSQ. And also go to his website, check out his film, The Area. And I'll see you all next time. Take care.